Hello, thank you for joining us. Now, before we start, I just want to say a quick apology. Now, we had the classic gremlins 24 hours ago when we were supposed to come to you with the supply chain digital show, but unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, we couldn't actually join you. So if you were waiting there for the show to start yesterday, I sincerely apologize. But hey, we're back. It's Friday and we've got the show for you now. So you are watching the Supply Chain Digital Show, brought to you by Supply Chain Digital Magazine, Procurement Magazine, and courtesy of BizClick Media Group. My name is Scott Birch, and today we're missing our usual supply chain editor, Sean Ashcroft, because he's on annual leave, and our procurement editor as well, Georgia Wilson, who's on maternity leave. I think I got those two the right way around. But I'm delighted to say that I am joined by not one, but two new faces to the show this week. And we have Charlie Stevenson, our brilliant summer intern, who's been with us a few weeks now, and also George Hopkin, our resident tech guru. Welcome, Charlie and George. How are you both doing?
Hi, good, thank you.
Very well, Scott. Thanks indeed for having me on.
I'm the honoured one, and so are our audience, I'm sure. It's great to see you both here. And we're going to be talking all things supply chain today. I really appreciate you joining us. And I appreciate everyone who's joining us around the world as well. I see you've already got a few people saying hello in the comments there. Hi, everybody. Please do come and say hello if you're joining us live. Maybe tell us whereabouts in the world you're joining from. And since it's Friday, maybe what plans do you have for the weekend? Who knows? So let's move on. So I've apologized for missing the show yesterday. Now, just a reminder, there is a quick, there's still time, if you are quick even, to come and vote in our poll. This is posted on LinkedIn, which you are probably in LinkedIn right now or you're watching this show. So do come and have your say. Now, the question we asked this week was, with geopolitical tensions between China and Taiwan, has the rest of the world done enough to prepare for the potential supply chain disruption? And we've left it as a straight yes or no. Really interesting to see where you vote on this. Like I say, there's still time to go and have your say. But as I'm sure we all know, Taiwan produces a vast majority of the world's semiconductors and chips, the kind of thing that goes into everything from a smartphone to a car to pretty much everything we use. And with so much IoT and smart devices everywhere, they all rely on these chips. And so tensions there could have a huge implication on the supply chain of not only those chips, but also everything else that's in that chain as well. So let's see how what you feel about that. But we'll come back to that poll towards the end of the show. But first, let's start, as we always do, by taking a look at the latest supply chain and procurement news. Okay, Charlie, this is my chance to have a little drink of water while you talk us through the first story that we're going to highlight today. And this was one that you wrote, actually, which was advancing the digital supply chain with strategic sourcing. So talk us through that.
Yeah, so obviously the COVID-19 pandemic, economic problems, and then all of the geopolitical conflicts that have been going on in the past few years have had a big impact on the global supply chain. So quite a few of our recent articles have looked at the different measures that are being taken by retailers and manufacturers along the supply chain in order to manage this risk, so whether that's disruptions or delays or shortages. So this article is about how companies are being urged to focus on strategic sourcing as one of the ways to overcome all of these disruptions with a minimal impact on the business. Mainly focused on the use of technology in strategic sourcing, which is again a big part of all of the articles that I've been writing and already that were being written before I joined as well. And of course, that then plays a big part in the ongoing shift towards this digital supply chain that is emerging. So, for instance, using technology and specifically AI technology to centralize and streamline sourcing options from different suppliers, which will ultimately increase visibility along the supply chain and help companies make sustainable and cost-effective decisions about where they are sourcing their goods from.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, we just talked about supply chain disruption or potential disruption, where we're talking about China and Taiwan there. Now, George, I'm sure you'll take this the right way. You're a man who seems to know a bit about chips.
Thank you very much. Yes, no, I do like my chips. And the industry love their chips, don't they? Because the chips are in short supply. I think it's clear that the industry's had second thoughts about being so lean over the past few decades. You know, it's made financial sense in the time. You know, fabless is fabulous. You can get to minimize your overheads for production, maximize design efficiency in your San Francisco factory. It just all made sense until it didn't. You know, but the industry's seen this coming. You know, research is their thing. You know, they've got money for research, and they've known that this is coming. And I think the thing to look out for now is how much people are going to lean into lean. How much are they going to keep things just in time, and how much they're going to realize that they need some fat on the bone so that they can avoid situations like this in the future.
Absolutely. And yeah, sorry, you're taking me right back to some of our recent live events, actually. So many speakers talking about that, you know, the case for just in time or just in case and supply chain disruption. And as you said, you know, a lot of these things they're not unprecedented events to a degree, yes, but some of them are not necessarily, you know, unique or, you know, completely unexpected. And I do think that we could be doing more to help mitigate some of the risks associated with this, but it'd be really interesting to see how we do address those. Yeah, I think we had a quick glance. Actually, sorry, George, go on.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say that they've known about this for a long time, and it's not the first time that there've been, you know, chip shortages. So that they've known that this is coming, and should and will be preparing for it.
Absolutely. And I think we also had a quick glimpse there at that second story that you're going to talk about, actually, Charlie, which is about microchip technology. So why don't you just elaborate on that? We've probably covered some of those topics we're going to discuss anyway, but can we get that story back up, Kieran, the microchip technology one? There we go.
Yeah, so following on from that, to do with the semiconductor shortage, because that is such a big part of supply chain news at the minute, I really wanted to look into how microchip technology had actually developed. So doing some research on, you know, the invention of the microchip, I was quite surprised to find that its origins went back a lot further than I thought. So specifically back to 1959, when the microchip was first invented by engineer Jack Kilby, who had simply been frustrated at how complicated computers and their components were at the time, and decided to create the first microchip. So then, obviously, from 1959, that's when the era of modern computing began. And at that point, it was really quite expensive. So in the 1960s, a single microchip cost $31 US. But by the 1970s, mass production picked up a lot and the cost went down rapidly, so that a single microchip cost only just over $1 US. Then after that, it became a bit more political. There was a semiconductor agreement between the USA and Japan because lots of trade wars going on at the time, and they had to fix prices to agree that they wouldn't be kind of warring about microchips at the same time. Then since then, developments have been continued across the globe, especially in China, again, linking back to our poll that we're going to look at, and especially because Taiwan is a major manufacturer as well. So that's going to be very significant. And then obviously recent years, until the pandemic broke out and the lockdowns halted production, that has then led to the global shortage that engineers are still trying to overcome right now.
Yeah, and it's this over reliance on one particular country for a source of anything, frankly, isn't it? That is the huge problem. I mean, when you're talking about relying on a country because it's a natural resource, and obviously there's not much you can actually do about that. But when it's something that's actually manufactured and man-made, then there are steps that can be taken. And, you know, companies and governments are taking steps to address this. But I don't know, I can't help feeling that it's all too little too late. What do you think, George?
Well, there's some huge players here, isn't there, at the supply and the demand side. I mean, it's my understanding that the United States at the moment accounts for just under half of the entire global chip industry in terms of what they need. So that's where we're going to see all the action, I think. But it's also my understanding that at the moment, the United States doesn't have the capacity to make the most advanced microchips at the moment, as in no capacity to do that. So They've gone from being 37% of global supply in 1990 to 12% now. So that's the US in the past, 37%, now down to 12%, and wanting 47% of everything that there is there. That's a country asking another country, China, to give them these things. So these are huge geopolitical players over fundamental things that are changing the way that the world does business.
Absolutely. Well, look, I'm trying to keep things upbeat because it is a Friday, and we don't want to talk too much about geopolitical tensions.
In that case, let me give you a little test. And if I say the number 6502, do all the nerds suddenly pick up and take notice? Because 6502 was a chip that was back in the 80s that was in massive demand, and the 6502 powered computers like Scott. What do you think?
Oh, mate.
1980s. Okay. What computer did you have in the 1980s?
Well, I'll tell you exactly which ones I had. We started off rather as a family with the classic Sinclair ZX81.
Okay.
And then, and that had 1K of memory, by the way, Charlie. I know you're a different generation. Then had the ZX Spectrum, the Commodore 64.
So you're now in 6502 territory. When you bought your Commodore 64, you were in the 6502 battle, because 6502 was the chip that powered the Commodore 64, the Apple II, the Atari home entertainment systems, all the Atari computers, the BBC Micro, the Nintendo entertainment system, and the Atari Lynx for the ultra nerds. Also the Auric Atmos for the really nerds. So yeah, this isn't the first time that chips have been in short supply. And as funny as that sounds, it doesn't sound funny, I guess, but as humorous as it might sound, that was big business as well back in the 80s. That wasn't just a throwaway industry. The home computer industry gave us a lot of the innovations that we got today. So that was a chip war back then that was battled and won. So we're going to see the same thing again. It's just that these days we're looking at such big players and such huge stakes. I think that's where we are.
Absolutely. You're right. I mean, microchips back in the 80s were significant and important, but now they're absolutely fundamental to so many aspects of life and, critical infrastructure and everything else that, huge.
And with the Internet of Things, it just means we need chips everywhere, chips with everything.
Yeah. Absolutely. Nice line. And on that note, I think it's time to take a quick break. But don't go away. We're going to be right back, and we're going to be looking at the August issue of Supply Chain. So we'll see you in a few minutes.
Jason Fritsch. I'm Senior Vice President of Global Sales for Juniper Network's cloud segment. There are a few key elements that are common across most cloud provider customers, which are they architect their networks to remove as much complexity as possible so they can scale them as quickly as possible. So they begin with the end in mind. Partnering with vendors like Juniper to design, build, and deploy scalable networks that can be heavily automated and easily automated, so that it's not just what you build, but how it integrates into their operational model. Because one of their biggest advantages is the automation that they build, so that they can do more and scale quickly with less due to that automation.
The idea of supply chain constraints is something that has always been part of my working world, but this is the first time it's front page news. I'm Mitch Haynes. I'm the Vice President of Supply Chain Planning and Fulfillment at Juniper. The role we see ourselves trying to play is finding that true signal of data, making sure that it's consistent and complete and transmitted across the entire supply network. It's a corporate imperative that we have to invest and understand and protect our supply chains.
What's also evolving around the cloud customer experience is ease of doing business. So it's not just about delivering features and high scale and high performance, but how we transact and how we deliver our own supply chain and our portfolio in ways that our customers can be comfortable with, so that we can scale with them. Their experience with Juniper is not just the technology that we deliver, but the business engagement and the business processes that support that to make that as easy as possible.
There's probably going to be a much greater appreciation for the sharing and the transparency of data through the multiple partners throughout the supply chain. And so that's what I think is going to be probably the biggest takeaway.
Hey, welcome back. And still to come, we've got the results of our LinkedIn poll. But first, we're going to be taking a look at the latest issue of Supply Chain Digital. As you can see from the front cover, or as you will see in a second, we've got an exclusive interview with Supriya Iyer. She is Director of Supply Chain and Commercial Operations at Google. And she talks about how Google is making its supply chain more resilient, something obviously that every organization on the planet is tackling right now, and we've already talked about at length. And I'm sure that obviously they don't come much bigger than Google. So if you want to catch any of our magazines, well, you can catch all of our news, all of our videos, and all of our digital publications by visiting the websites. There you go on the ticker, supplychaindigital.com and procurementmag.com. Now, I realize that obviously we're focusing very much on supply chain today. That's because we don't have a procurement magazine this month, so we're purely focusing on supply chain. But next show, we'll have a lot more procurement action for you. And another interview that caught my eye from this issue is with Steve Smith from Schneider Electric, who you might recall also spoke at our last Sustainability Live event. And as I'm sure you're aware, Schneider Electric often tops the polls for the most sustainable companies in the world. So it's great to get their take on sustainability and energy, which are two scorchingly hot topics right now, bearing in mind the the weather conditions that we've got globally around the world and the freak weather we've got. But let's watch a quick video that was included as part of that Schneider Electric report that you can see in this month's issue.
We have been living in an age of fire. Since harnessing its power, it has fueled our evolution, but it came at a cost. It's time to decarbonize. It's time to evolve to a new electric world. It's time for a change of mentality. Let's look at electricity through a digital lens and let them bring out the best in each other. When electric meets digital, it gives us new ways of thinking about it, new ways of distributing it, new ways of saving it. Energy becomes visible, connected, smarter, and more controlled. It becomes Electricity 4.0. Electricity 4.0 works for you and with you. It delivers more and wastes less. It helps companies and individuals operate more efficiently, more successfully. It helps our planet become more resilient. A new, all-electric, all-digital world. The future is simply electricity for zero. Zero waste, zero emissions, zero carbon. Electricity 4.0.
Okay, there you go. And as I say, Schneider Electric, they are speaking at our next Sustainability Live event, actually, which takes place 7th and 8th of September here in London. You can attend that show in person, or as a hybrid event, you can join online and you can access all of the live speaker sessions and roundtables and also interact with our attendees as well. And obviously, sustainability is a topic that touches every industry. And so we definitely have a strong representation from supply chain and procurement at that event as well. But first of all, you might have noticed, actually, I'm not in my familiar surroundings of the Shed Studios. I'm actually on annual leave in Dubai at the moment. And George, we met here many, many years ago, actually.
We did. You and I met in Dubai in 2001, I believe it was. And at the time, the Burj Al Arab had just beaten the Dubai World Trade Center as the tallest building in the city. I went up the Burj Al Arab during its construction when there was no windows or safety rails. It was a very exciting climb. 2001, the Burj Al Arab was there. The Emirates Towers had just opened its doors. But in 2022, Scott, I took a look yesterday, and they didn't build another one yesterday. So this figure still stands. How many skyscrapers do you think there have been built in Dubai since we first met in 2001?
Well, what do you class as a skyscraper?
Taller than the World Trade Center in Dubai. Let's use that as a definition.
Okay. All right, that's a good barometer. Well, actually, before I answer, Charlie, do you want to hazard a guess?
500. I have no idea.
Right. Okay. Wow. 500.
3.
You know what? That could be
my
accurate.
figure now sounds ridiculously low. Of course, now you say
sorry.
500.
I hate when people do
However-
that, and I've just done it.
However,
Okay.
it could be 500. Frankly, the answer is
it could be.
I don't know, and I don't believe that anyone actually knows what the count is, or at least the count of the buildings that are in hand. There are 75 plus buildings that have gone up over the last 20 years that are, skyscraper-ish in Dubai.
Wow.
This is a very, very rapid pace of development. Are you seeing lots of cranes and construction in Dubai at the moment, Scott?
Depends what you call crazy, actually. I mean, obviously, Dubai is always a exciting, vibrant, dynamic kind of place. I haven't had a great deal of time to actually get out and about, but I've been to some familiar areas. So some of the skylines look quite similar. But as you know, it is the kind of place where a new city will grow within the city and new offshoots. But there are obviously some spectacular buildings here that everyone is very familiar with. And there's a load more that I have yet to see. So, looking forward to getting out and about this weekend.
Dubai doesn't hang around, does it? That's the thing.
It doesn't, exactly. It's a good place to be. And talking of good places to be, we are going to, actually, I'll skip ahead, actually. I'm going to talk about our live event, because that is a good place to be. So another date for your diary, apart from the sustainability show that I mentioned, is, of course, Procurement and Supply Chain Live 2022. It's a hybrid event, both live and remote audiences, but with a difference. We're splitting the show into 2 zones. So we're going to have a supply chain live show and a procurement live show, but we're going to still be a single experience. And now, if you haven't seen one of our shows before, been to a BizClick show, we always have an incredible lineup of top industry speakers, and they're delivering insight and commentary on the issues, problems, and challenges of the day across supply chain, procurement, logistics, and sustainability. Let's take a quick look at the event trailer, and it's also a taste of what we've had before. Welcome to day 1 of Procurement and Supply Chain Live.
I hope you will enjoy the session this morning.
Asking people to do absolutely everything is just not possible.
Harvard picked it up, and it's Harvard's first book ever on procurement.
I don't think there is a provider out there who can provide best of breed in all of these different aspects.
All procuring with government is complex.
Coming here to attend great conferences, which were very, very interesting. I'm so thrilled to be here in person at Supply Chain and Procurement Live with BizClick Media.
Oh, I was quite enjoying that little sting there. Now, you might have seen the little link there. You also see it in the comments. So Alice has kindly posted the link there to the show. Now, you can register for these tickets. As I say, it is in person, or you can join from hybrid as well. But please, come down and join us. The previous show was held at Tobacco Dock in London, but we're changing venue for this one. This is going to be at the QE2 Centre, which, if you don't know, is a spectacular location, actually looking out over the Palace of Westminster, right in the heart of London. So really looking forward to that. We've got some amazing speakers lined up, as always. I'm just going to take a few hellos, actually, Kieran, from the people who've said hello. We've got people joining us from Egypt. We've got people joining us from Dubai. Yes, how are you doing? People joining us from India, from Zambia, from Singapore, from the UK, of course, and from the US. Just people joining from all over the world, which is great to see. We really appreciate you joining us.
I'm going to do from Angola. Let's give
carry on.
Shout out. Yeah. No, I'm just saying that he's going to save up and go to Dubai and then tell us what the tallest building is. So there you go. You've got people working in the field.
That's brilliant. We've planted the seed. We do need an answer. How many skyscrapers taller than the Dubai World Trade Center have been built?
As of this afternoon. It has to be a live count this afternoon. So off you go.
These things do change very quickly. We might be able to fund your flight and hotel as well. No, we won't. We won't be able to do that.
Yeah. That needs a disclaimer.
Okay, so just one piece of business to wrap up, I think, which is, of course, our poll. Now, I need to remind myself of the question. If we're going to have the results of the poll, well, I'll give the results in a second. But the question was, with geopolitical tensions rising between China and Taiwan, and let's throw the US into the equation there as well, of course, has the rest of the world done enough to prepare for the potential supply chain disruption? And of course, I'm specifically talking about microchips, but this would affect a great deal more than just that. And we asked a straight yes or no answer. Now, the results of the poll, let me just check. I believe, yes. So a vast majority, so 88%, got to make sure I get this right. 1 second. Got to make sure I come down on the right side of this. 88% said yes, the world has done enough to prepare. And 12% said no. That doesn't sound right, does it?
Other way around.
I think it's the way around, isn't it? I think I've got my numbers confused.
It is the other way around. So 88%.
It is.
No, hang on. So I took a look at that data and I saw that the vast majority was saying that not enough is being done. Is that right?
That makes more sense because I would certainly come down on that side of things.
Absolutely, yeah. I was wondering, the 12% that are saying no, not enough's being done, who are they? You know, what world are they looking at? There is so much more to be done. So I think that result reflects the low level fear in the industry that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's flip that around then. So I'm thinking it is 88% that said no, not enough has been done. Draw your own conclusions from that one. I know that's people are already talking about that in the comments as well. Okay, so look, that brings us to the end, really, of this show. And again, apologies for yesterday where we did face those technical issues and we couldn't join you. But thanks for joining us this time around. We hope you could make it for today. Thanks for interacting with us as well and for watching live and taking part in the poll. And remember, this show is available to watch on demand as well. So please do share it with colleagues and anyone interested in all things supply chain and procurement. I want to say a big thank you as well to our debutantes today, to Charlie and to George. And thanks also to Kieran and the rest of the video team, Justin and the design team for great looking magazines. Oh, quick update there. Yes, it was 88% said no, the world has not done enough, which sounds like a Bond movie title. But yes, thanks to Justin and the design team for the great looking magazines, and Alice, the aforementioned Alice in the marketing team. Thanks for joining us. This has been a Bisclick Media Group production, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.